All right, we are live with another episode of Digital Crypto Answers. And of course, I have Rob and James with me. Well, today we're going to talk about Cardano's future. What happens after? What happens after Goguen, after smart contracts? Is it just go to the moon or what? Let's discuss Cardano's future and, of course, altcoins, what happened last week, and what we think may happen this week. So welcome, Rob, James. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic. Thanks for having us again, George. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, doing good. Good to be here. And I hope you guys had a very nice Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have the show last week, right? James, I believe you were traveling and I was traveling, right?
Yeah, I think everybody was traveling. I was actually at a wedding, believe it or not.
Yeah, see, it's tough to get internet service or true good fast service when you're at a wedding, or if you're traveling like George with the family. It's impossible.
Yeah.
But we're here today. And that's
even at home, like last time, I just had horrible issues. It seemed like, and I know, Rob, you were laughing, and I was making fun of the fact that maybe F2 Pool is trying to hack my internet or something.
That's right. Yeah, I sent you a message on some super chat thing.
I'm like, what is going on? All right. So let's get started. Cardano officially rolls out smart contracts capabilities. So what's next? I did not get a chance to watch Charles's video. Did you guys get a chance to watch this by any chance?
I logged in and I zoomed forward when he was talking, and he spoke about how long the journey was and how long the journey is still going to be. So, early days yet. I was kind of trying to analyze the price action to figure out, okay, who's selling and who's buying and what's happening with the money flow.
Right.
And it looks like there's definitely some people are definitely dumping their Cardano, but there is a little bit of money as well. It appears to be flowing in, like some bigger buys that maybe were expecting Alonzo to blow up and it didn't. So now they're putting their toe in the water. So it'll be interesting to see how things shake out over the next week.
Yeah, I've seen, and I saw a little bit of it. And I mean, it's the same thing we knew was going to happen. Like, look, we're like, Cardano's been around for, what are we talking about, 5 years? I mean, at that, give or take. And of course, this is like the earliest days, and now we're just in the smart contract era. So imagine what's going to happen in like another 5 years, another 10 years. This is exactly what it is. Very early. I was just surprised. I didn't want to jinx it, so I didn't say anything. I really shouldn't still say anything. But I mean, we've all been in this game for a long time. We know buy the rumor, sell the news, and sometimes when people sell the news, they sell the tar out of it. Yeah. And it wasn't as drastic as I thought.
In fact, it was not eventful, right? Yeah. Like for the last week leading up to today, Cardano's been hovering this 260 mark for the whole week, and now afterwards, it did not move at all. So it's not buy the rumor, sell the news, or sell the rumor, buy the news. It was nothing. It's just non-event.
Yeah, it's so funny because I made a post probably an hour or so ago about the Cardano launch. Smart contracts are live. Everything seems to be okay. But it was down 2% on the day. Mm-hmm. And the top smart contract platforms are all up 20%, like Polkadot and Harmony One, Tezos, Algorand, Elrond. Yeah. It just seems so unfair. All the other peers are up 20% and Cardano was down 2%. It just was not what I expected to see.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's one of those things, but like, I mean, sorry, when we take a look at 7 day, 14 day, and 30 day, I mean, remember what our Cardano was, just about a month ago or so, it was below 2. So, I mean, we're taking a look at it, and people were telling me it's already priced in. I'm like, but is it really? I think in this case, it really was. And now it really comes down to what James is always talking about, which is true, which is, can you handle all this with the smart contracts going live? Can your TPS actually be measured? And really, how much is it going to be? And are we going to get up there to like the big guys? And this is where it gets interesting. This is where the rubber meets the road. And I, for one, hope everything works out pretty well. But if not, that's why I've hedged my bets on a lot of different areas.
if you look at the price action, so if you look on screen here, so I have 24, 7-day, 30, and 90 days, right? Mm-hmm. So if you look at 30-day, 90-day, well, obviously 7 days is red versus say like Solana's 20% or Algorand's 92% or even Avalanche's 22%. That's about comparable. But Cosmos 35%, Tezos 32%. I mean, if you look at 7-day, yeah, it's horrendous versus versus peers, but not so bad versus Ethereum. Look at Ethereum is actually down more for the week, and then you go to the 30-day, and then you realize, wow, Cardano's done much better than say Ethereum, and then you go 90 days, you're like, wow, it's more than double. So it seems like Cardano did have that push, right? Maybe like a few weeks ago, and then they just kind of stalled out, right? I think it's because. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about. It's because of this concurrency issue. When this one project tried to come out with a DeFi project on the testnet and it failed and caused a lot of fun. People are wondering, hey, can they actually solve this? And as far as I know, no project has solved it yet on the mainnet, right? So I think until someone actually comes out with a full-fledged DeFi project that can actually do more than 1 transactions per second, I think until then, Cardano's price action or price move will probably just stay steady until that happens. So what do you guys think?
Well, I go back to the same premise that they originally specified this 4 years ago to be an ETH killer. Mm-hmm. And ETH at the time was doing 10 transactions per second. Yes. So I'd love to see the original specs. I know they have the Hydra stuff a couple of years out. That'll be millions of transactions per second. But I'm wondering what is in their true specs now around performance, because that's going to be very, very important.
Yeah, it's true. It's a very thing. Like, let's see it. Let's see what happens. Show me the money, right? Show me the money. Yeah, so like, I mean, I'm not smart enough to figure this stuff out. So I had Hashoshi on the show a couple of days ago. He's been a blockchain developer for 6 years, and he was talking about it. And he's like, look, you understand. He goes, when this came out with this concurrency issue, everybody knew there was going to be a concurrency issue. And he says, and he talks about concurrency versus latency or parallelism. And then what he really said was, and Charles Hoskinson pretty much said the same type of thing, is like, look, it's like a quad processor, right? The quad 4, quad 8, or whatever else it is. If we make it to where you can do different things, you just have to write the right code to actually do it. He goes, but MIMSwap, the DEX that did it, he goes, really, there's nothing to fix. He goes, they just have to do it in the certain way that they want to do it. And then you can you can do DEXs, you can do decentralized finance, but you have to do it a different way. And I was like, okay, Hash, doesn't make any sense, but okay. No, it made total sense. But when he was talking about it, like, it was a good video because Hash has got a great way of like breaking everything down into proper English where I could figure what he's talking about. So yeah, we'll see. I just don't think people are used to it. And I know a lot of people came out in force and said, this is not going to work. See, we told you, MIMSwap and da-da-da. And I was like, it's the same thing with back in the day, Blockbuster and Netflix. They said that will never work because you'll never have the bandwidth. And that got solved. So if ETH can solve it with gas fees, I think we can solve this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a developer either, but it just seems like how Charles explains it is, it's a different way that app makers have to program and get around this supposed issue, which is really not an issue. It's just always been programmed this way. It's just that I guess it's very different than all other chains and how they implement concurrency and multiple transactions and like parallelism, like you said. So I guess we'll see. I mean, James, one of the things that I think caught a lot of people off guard, including myself, is that you stated that Ethereum will hit 10,000 before Cardano hits 10. Do you still?
No. The numbers that we had, and I remember distinctly because I tweeted the next day, was I said Ethereum would hit 9,000 before Cardano hits $9.
Okay, 9,000.
The story of the nines, exactly.
Okay,
and you laughed.
Yes,
you thought I was like completely crazy. And then I offered you a wager, and you said no, and that was it.
Come on,
Yeah, that's right,
that's just too large, James. Too large.
Yeah.
Too
Well,
rich for
to
my
be honest,
blood.
since we had that bet, that was 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
The movement, the delta between the two respective market caps in the journey to 9,009 has gone up 20%, despite Ethereum weakness. So I created a little model that just automatically gauges it every day, every second with movement. So we'll see. But I'm still very confident in that.
You're still sticking with that, basically.
Yes.
You got to stick to your guns, James. That's good. Just say, I got it. It's going to happen.
Yeah. No, we'll see. I mean, the smart contract platform competition is intense right now.
Right.
I wouldn't want to be building or launching a platform against the cutthroat, Tezoses and Cosmoses and Algorand's, Avalanches, Solanas. It's just wicked competitive out there, and they all have great technologies and a lot of great things to add. So it's quite frightening.
So I think that's a really good recap of what happened last week. Like every single network protocol, any smart contract play, I shouldn't say any, but several big ones have made tremendous movements last week. Now, Solana finally did take a breather, but you could see like today, for example, Polkadot is joining in, Algorand is going moving further, Avalanche a little bit weaker, but Cosmos, and you mentioned Tezos, Elrond. I mean, it's Hedera even, and several others, Harmony. So the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah. It's funny because in preparation for this, what I did, I ran some numbers right before we joined because I thought it was interesting to see if you take the top 40 cryptos, the average is about 42% off of their all-time high, which sounds like, how is that possible? But you got a lot of real non-performers like ICP and Bitcoin Cash and EOS, XRP, Doge, Filecoin, Stellar, all the stuff that was guaranteed to be garbage remains garbage. But then you have all the smart contract platforms hitting all new all-time highs like Cosmos and Avalanche and Elrond and Terra. And that's what's really fascinating. So you got a complete breakdown. And I've always said, and I've always been invested in what I call the SCB space, because that's what'll attract the money. And it looks like if you look now, despite Ethereum being off its all-time high, but the rest of the posse are all very close to their all-time highs. And then the rest of the crypto space is weak. Like, we are halfway through this bull run, and these puppies are 50% off their all-time highs.
Right.
So now you see people are getting smarter as to how they invest and what they back, and they vote with their dollars. And I'm happy to see some of that, some weakness in things like Dogecoin and other areas.
Yeah.
Until Elon Musk pumps it again.
Yes.
And this is what kills me. It's still in the top 10. And some of these things, even the top 20, I'm like, why? So if you think this, like I tweeted out, if you think this market's rational, just take a look at the top 20. And you can pick out the ones. It's kind of like, come on, really? But here we are.
At least Shiba is not top 20 anymore.
Never know. You never know.
Now, based on what James said, let me ask you guys, do you really think that investors are smarter, or do you think what we're seeing right now is an effect of NFTs? And people are just buying NFTs, and in order to do that, you need to buy the underlying token.
That's
like,
a huge
example,
part.
Solana and everything else.
That's half of the driver, I would say.
Yeah, and it's amazing. Like all these different platforms that have NFTs coming out or are out, those are the ones that are rising up.
Right.
Like the article I shared with you guys. I mean, it just only makes sense. I mean, Solana art, those degenerate apes.
Yeah.
That's was pretty big. That was huge. I mean, very huge.
$1 million for this. Over $1 million for this NFT right here.
Well, that one doesn't look good, but the other one I showed you, I was like, I would probably buy that one. And it was like
really?
$40,000. I'm like, holy smokes. But if you know what, I mean, the whole thing is I was talking to you guys before, or I sent the email out. It's kind of like these NFTs on these ecosystems. It kind of bolsters the whole community, and it brings everybody together. Like, this is my thing. And then before you know it, you've got these Bored Apes, you got Yacht Apes, you've got whatever else are ones for the other ecosystems. They all kind of say, this is my thing. And then and that's what makes things so strong, just the community itself. And then, of course, there's the network effect.
Look at this one. Bored Ape sells for $24.4 million.
That was a set of apes, not just one.
Set of apes. Yeah. I'm like, come on,
Sotheby's. Yeah.
But you know what's crazy? Maybe that's like and this is the thing to think about. What if that's the floor? What if like, you know, a years from now, I was like, can you believe you got a whole set for 24 million? Now it's one for 30.
Right.
Who knows?
But you know, but the curious thing is, like these Bored Apes and CryptoPunks and several others on OpenSea and Ethereum are still hot. How come Ethereum is not moving?
I have a theory. The theory is that some of these NFTs on Ethereum, just to mint them, is out of the realm of most people. What these NFTs are, these Bored Apes and the Bored Ape Yacht Clubs or whatever else they are, it's to help make the rich richer. How many normal people out there, let's say you make 75K, but then you want to mint or you want to buy something, and as far as an NFT on the Ethereum network, if you're going to do that 3, 4, 5, you're out so much money. It's not even for you. It might not even make it. Now take that over and do a Solana art, or do something on Avalanche, or do something on Cardano with Cardano Combat. It's a heck of a lot cheaper. You can load up a lot more, and then you can do it like that way. So even though like they're still paying, I mean, for these things, but it's one or a set of them as compared to like a whole massive amount that you get on another type of platform.
And since we last spoke, George, 2 weeks ago, when we made that little race to 9, let's call it, Ethereum, I think, was about $3,100. And it shot to 4,000, and it hit up at the 4,000 level. Boom, boom, boom. It just couldn't get above it. That's what was hitting a lot of resistance. A lot of people were selling at that level. And now it's at nearly 3,400. So it hasn't been doing 30%ers a day like some of the smaller chains, but still it's up there. It's doing better than Bitcoin, put it that way.
It is, but it does seem like, look at this. It does seem like it's really tied to Bitcoin, though. This drop is almost identical to the Bitcoin one that was I just showed. I mean, look, it's almost identical.
Yeah. Well, did you see the flash crash a few hours ago? I was actually streaming live, and it wicked down. I said, this is manipulation, and this means it's probably going to be a good night. So, but if you look at everything, the way it actually tanked within a second of each other, it looked so orchestrated. Yeah. So they were just trying to have one last shot at wicking people out.
Yeah. So in your opinion, based on your trading experience, James, do these occur because the whales are just trying to get rid of as many people as possible before they drive things up, or they want to buy things low?
They're hunting. So what they can see is they can see the order books, the buy walls, the sell walls, where people have options positions, and they wait. They wait for a low volume moment. They buy a put option of where their at the money position is. Then they take a whole bunch of crypto, dump it like Bitcoin. And in this case, it's orchestrated because they're doing with Solana and Ethereum at the same time. Or maybe those markets just got fickle and followed. Then they cover their put and buy their coins back after they cascade through some liquidations. And they've been doing this for ages. And it's amazing to think that there's still leveraged margin traders out there that get into these positions because they're just being suckered in. Maybe there's YouTubers saying, oh, you can get, you can turn 0.1 Bitcoin into 20 Bitcoin in a month with this strategy on Bybit. But they don't know what they're doing. And they don't know that people are poaching them. They watch and they wait and then they wipe them out, and they do it again and again and again. And it's sad to think that these amateur investors are smarter than the whales who are throwing tens of thousands of Bitcoin around just to wipe these people out. And it happens again and again. And I know you, George, you've been very good warning people about that levered trading. So it's just it's sad. It's a lot of, I think also with the movement in the crypto space, there's a lot of desperation now to get rich quick. So I'm feeling a lot of heat. A lot of people want the next 100x gem, and they'll nearly take a baseball bat to your head and say, "Give it to me! I want one." And they're harder to find now because we're halfway through this bull market. So it's really difficult.
Yeah. So. No, I was on the show with John Najarian called Market Rebellion. He was a CBOE trader for like 25 years, played for the Chicago Bears. And and he sold his company Option Monster for like $750 million. And I on air, I asked him, John, you used to do traditional market trades and everything else. Now you're in crypto. Tell us about manipulation. And he went into these 2 stories that was just, I'm like, and as he's telling me these stories, I'm like, why do people think they can get away with leverage trading? Because there's so many different things going on with these whales that can manipulate so much. There's no way they're going to make it. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can 50x your way to success. I just don't think so.
I think that the true winners are the exchanges that offer them. Regardless if you win or lose, they're collecting their fees, right?
Here's $1,200 sign-on bonus paid in Bitcoin. How do you think they can afford to give that to you? Because they're going to make it back in hours sometimes. So it's
$1,200? No way.
Yeah. If you deposit, I think $25,000 in Bitcoin or cash fiat, they'll give you $1,200 in Bybit.
Ooh.
In some cases. At least that was the case a couple of months ago. I don't know.
Bybit.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, we kind of talked about last week. Rob, is there any other takeaways for last week that you want to mention? Anything that we haven't talked about yet? Any other projects or any developments?
I can't think of it. Just a big story about NFTs and what's going on. My big thing was the whole SEC. I did a whole show and ranted about that. I'm not going to go into that much here, but it's like, Coinbase comes out like, we want to do lend, and the SEC is like, well, thanks for coming in and talking to us about it. Now here's your Wells summons, and we're also going to ask you for a bunch of information for anybody who's interested in, so we can follow up with those people. And I'm like, and I had to ask the question, am I really in America? Because it sure as hell doesn't seem like it. It seems like this isn't America I remember, and everything is getting shut down. And I felt it was awful. There's a Senate hearing come up on Tuesday with Gensler, so everybody check that out and talk to your congressman or senator and tell them to get clarity ASAP.
James, any thoughts on the SEC? Yeah, it's all a game. It's a show of strength, first of all. Their job is to regulate. Their job is to find fat cats they can find. And I think they need to go after some of the real scams. I definitely don't want them to mess with crypto lending, right? Or stable coins, unless of course it is a house of cards, which some people believe could be the case with USDT. But literally, I think there's a lot of other areas they need to focus on first in this space. And I won't mention any names, but that's what they need to really clean up first, not go after Coinbase.
Well, if they need money, who are you going to go after, like you said, James?
Well, if there's some schemes out there that are printing, and they're even in the top 10. So
yes,
if anybody has the courage to mention the name, I'm not going to do it for fear of making myself unpopular.
We have smart Georgia smart subscribers, so they'll figure it out.
They know who you're talking about. And yes, and I agree. I mean, the SEC, every so often there's like a report, like I saw SEC went after this company called Rivets, and it was actually one that I thought was promising. And it turned out the founder, pocketed $1 million and then bought a mansion, which he used to lease out to his company. And basically he was just taking funds and never developed and basically shut down, right? Like, when I hear about stories like that, I'm glad the SEC has gone after them and made them pay. But going to war with DeFi, with lending, with Coinbase, that just doesn't seem right, especially when they're not providing any clarity. It's kind of like the same with XRP and Ripple, I guess. So I kind of got it, like when they first went after Ripple, saying that Brad and Chris Larson, kind of sold unsecured, unregistered securities. But I'm kind of rooting for Ripple at this point, because it seems like as the case developed, they didn't really, provide any, I guess, their thought process in terms of what they determine is a security, what isn't a security. For example, Ripple was trying to get the SEC to define what made Ethereum not a security. But what made them decide Ripple and XRP was a security, right? But the SEC would not provide a definition for that. So Ripple had to actually go ask a judge to subpoena the person's original, findings for Ethereum so that they could look at it and present a defense to the SEC, right? So there's things that's coming out of that case that makes it very questionable. Like SEC just wants to put their foot down and say, you're a security, we're going to go after you. Yet they're not really working. They're not trying to work with the projects at all. So in that case, I'm actually rooting for Ripple to win. I really think that the SEC needs to lose maybe one or two big cases so that they don't just try to stomp everyone, So that's my thought behind that.
I think with I think Ethereum today has 220,000 nodes. And XRP has 26. So that right there is your centralization, decentralization argument. So the SEC can prove that. And I think that's what they did in another case.
But But James, they don't care about decentralization. They care about if you're a security, whether or not you sold a token as
exactly. But if you are sufficiently decentralized after the fact, they let you go. Especially the area where it's unclear is statute of limitations. And that's what they haven't given judgment on, is how far along can they still go after you for. Typically, it's 7 years in other businesses. I don't know in the crypto world, but because they started lawsuits against XRP such a long time ago, they keep on filing this. I can't remember it's like a stay of permanence, so they can continue to sue them, and that's the whole problem. But they're the SEC is a pit bull with XRP. Their jaw is locked on tight, and they are not letting go. That's what I see anyway from the outside. It's become a vendetta.
Yeah, but look at so XRP, the nodes. I don't know if it's 26 or not. Correct us in the comments. But EOS, how many do they have as far as blockchain producers?
They only have 23.
So, and they got a fine, and then off they went. Yeah. So it's one of those things. And then, my big thing was like this. I was like, just pay the fine and move on. Pay the fine and move on.
Right.
But just like what James said, I was talking to a friend of mine who tussled with the SEC before, and he says, you don't understand, Rob. They can go back anytime they want to. Even if they fine you, they can still go back. And he goes, the only person or one of the few people that has beaten SEC recently was Mark Cuban. 2013, insider trading. They wanted to settle. He said, I'm not going to settle. He spent $12 million and he beat him in court. And they took that whooping, and they weren't too jolly to do things, move forward. But now here we are. So my thing is this: if you're going to go in like Coinbase and they're going to say we're going to sue you, fine, let's go to court and just be aggressive and be the aggressor, because they're gonna do it anyhow.
Oh, yeah. Your dogs don't like your answer, Rob.
No, that was Gensler. He was barking.
Something that we haven't brought up that happened last week was El Salvador. I just remember what we need to talk about that. So that came and went, didn't really cause Bitcoin to go up or anything, but afterwards, many other countries started legalizing Bitcoin, right? Not officially making it legal tender, but at least legalizing it. So that's a step in the right direction. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's been great. I was afraid it was going to blow up, and I was afraid there was going to be riots and everything else. I was afraid the IMF were going to sanction them more, and it ends up everything's working. They had some glitches for the first 48 hours with Shivo and a little bit of strike problems. But they've thrown so many resources at making it a success. It's actually been a success. And I can't remember the name of the country, but we've got Uruguay, Paraguay, Panama. These guys are all chomping at the bit to be next. But there's a fourth country, small.
Ukraine?
No, in South America as well. I just can't remember. I glanced through my RSS feed and I saw it and I just forget. Yeah. But I think it's really good. It's only a matter of time now. Was it gradually, then more, and then suddenly, whatever the expression is. But that's what's going to happen. These dominoes are going to fall, especially the people that really have currencies that are impossible for global trade, currencies that are under the thumb of the federal money printing. I mean, they just need an out. And what I love about the El Salvador solution is the fiat hasn't gone away. You have a choice. It's A or B. You pick. No worries. Even if you want to get remittances which makes up what 30% of El Salvador GDP, and you want that into your country, and you want to switch it then to dollars, so be it. It's not a problem to do. Just go to an ATM machine. You can go both ways. So I think from that perspective, people are looking at us like, "Ooh, this could really, really help bringing about economic stability." And basically, as well, the math behind the move, because of the savings on Western Union remittances, has already increased the GDP of El Salvador by 3%, like literally overnight.
Wow.
So if you do that math, it's like, it's a win-win. And I have a lot of respect for the president to say such a gutsy move, really to help his people. I'm just very, very proud of the fella. Ukele, whatever his name is, special guy.
Bukele?
Bukele,
Yeah. Wait, what happened to Rob there? Just disappeared.
Dog issue. I think he's funny enough.
Sorry.
There you go.
Yeah, just had to fix something real quick. What I miss?
Rob, any thoughts on El Salvador?
You know what? I was watching there's a video from Mark Moss. I don't know if you've ever seen his videos where he's gone down there to Bitcoin Beach, and
he's a surfer.
Yeah, big surfer. Lives in Puerto Rico, where I'll be going to soon. And he talks about how he set up this shop for people to actually produce and be translators. And I don't know what the average income, but it's like, I don't know, a couple dollars or $1, something like that. And then he's paying them $5 to do that. And he's paying them in Bitcoin and how fast it is. And he goes, look, if anybody who's against Bitcoin, tell me another way to do this. Tell me another way to actually get people set up to actually go to the bank and actually be able to take out funds or to be able to have transactions. He goes, if you want to do that with any other processor, it's 1.99% plus 29 cents each transaction. That gets up the whole cost right there. There's no way they can actually do it. This is the only way. And then on top of that, the remittance payments and how far down they've gone, which is where, MoneyGram makes all their dough.
And what people don't realize is 2 billion people on Earth are unbanked.
Yeah.
But they have cell phones.
And you know what? That's what's crazy. I've traveled a lot of places, and throughout Mexico, and everybody's got a cell phone. They may not have a bank account, but everybody's got a cell phone.
Yeah. And that's where the banks in El Salvador, for example, had the last 20 years to get people banked. And they promised they would in combination with the IMF and others. And they failed. Yeah. So give Bitcoin a chance. See what happens. Yeah. And I think it's going to be a big success. And I know there's a lot of people that want it to be a success, and a lot of people with influence that can make it a success, like Jack Mallers and people like that. So I think it's going to come through. And I think if I was to estimate how many more countries will follow before the end of the year, I wouldn't be surprised if it was 3 to 5 more countries that start making it legal tender, or at least putting the groundwork in place to do that.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of big countries just waiting until, like, say, Brazil or Mexico themselves.
Argentina, yeah.
Yeah, Argentina. Yeah. These are, tens to hundreds of millions of citizens waiting until that happens. Mm. It's funny. While you guys were talking, I was searching El Salvador Bitcoin. Look at the top 2 stories. FUD articles. Wall Street Journal. Look at this headline right here.
No, they hate Bitcoin. Come on.
El Salvador runs a Bitcoin scam. What? And then here's another one. The Economist. El Salvador Bitcoin bro president is beloved and dangerous. What's going on here? Is this is the IMF paying for these to be written, or what?
Well, the first one from the WSJ looks like it was an opinion piece, so that's just somebody's opinion. The second piece from the Economist surprises me, actually, because that's normally a very good rag, and they know macro better than anybody. So beloved and dangerous. I don't know. I'm going to read that. I subscribe.
Yeah, I don't know. Even if it's like. Even if this is an opinion piece, and it is obviously under a WSJ opinion, right? You got to figure their head editor or whoever has to read through this and approve of it, right? They're not just going to run anything. But I mean, that's a horrible headline. Like, there's no worse headline that you can write, basically.
Well, look at the stuff that U.S. politicians still say to this day about energy usage for Bitcoin. It's just. It's ridiculous.
And illicit activity. But you know what? Look at that. I mean, I bet you that got a lot of clicks, though.
Oh yeah,
it's a scam.
Yeah.
I gotta hire that guy from my YouTube channel. Just kidding.
But the big message is the whales continue to accumulate Bitcoin. And another key statistic that was put out by Will Clemente. That kid is pretty impressive, by the way.
Yeah.
He said 93% of Bitcoin supply hasn't moved in over a month. So basically, we know most people are hodlers, but the fact that there's a mere 7% of supply available is kind of staggering.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's we're talking about the 1.4 million coins, 1.3 million, because there's only just under 19 million out there, and 6 million are lost, etc. So, it's staggering numbers. If things do become kind of all of a sudden, as they say, not from gradual to all of a sudden, the stuff that people have been talking about for a long time, that parabolic move that's going to happen. And I did a piece earlier today where I spoke about, if you put, say, $1 billion into Bitcoin, it has a 25x impact on the move of price. So on the market cap. So it's just fun to sit and wait, and I'm patient, but it's gonna blow up in a good way at some stage. The writing is so on the wall, it's not even funny.
Yeah, imagine when Bitcoin goes up, if it does happen like that, and then what will happen with all the alts?
Pull factor.
Yes,
we'll see. But again, we are seeing that disconnect between lack of correlation between these different assets in a big way, like the smart contract platforms.
Right.
Even within that sector, there's huge disconnects. So,
I mean, it's this decoupling that everyone has been asking about and waiting for. And periods of time, short periods of time, we do see that. Like right now, it's so obvious that these protocol plays are moving way faster than Bitcoin. Even when Bitcoin goes down, like Solana's continue to pump up, right? So we're definitely seeing that right now. But the question is, can it continue? I think Bitcoin, of course, is still the leader. It's going to drive things upwards, go bring a lot more money in. But do you guys think, let's say after this cycle, let's say Bitcoin goes to like 100, 150,000, maybe it traces back down to, I don't know, 75, 80, 90, whatever it may be after it corrects a little bit. Do you think after this cycle, some of these protocols will actually truly decouple from Bitcoin? Or is it too soon to assume that?
Gosh, that's a good question. I don't see how anything can decouple right now. I mean, besides like NFTs and like gaming type of applications, like, are we really using, DeFi a whole heck of a lot globally to be able to decouple from Bitcoin? I don't see that, but that's just maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah, I think what's very different to this cycle and the previous cycles is for the first time ever, the protocols have real life use cases. I know it started with NFTs, but if you look at the DEXs and all of the smart contract capabilities that exist today, and the underpinning support of stable coins and so many other use cases, that's what's different. And that's why I believe for these true blockchains or projects that really have these use cases, they'll continue on. There'll be no bear market for them. There might be a few blips along the way, but if you look at the intrinsic value of the total addressable market some of these things are going after, they're still very cheap. Super cheap.
So James, you think like in 6 months, like let's say Bitcoin does a reversal, and in 6 months, these types of things will just keep going on?
Basically, Bitcoin reversal is another question because the institutional money has only begun. And I mentioned just 7% is available to buy. Like literally, if you took 1/50th of all the millionaires in the United States and they all decided to buy Bitcoin over the next month, you're looking at a $600,000 Bitcoin. These are the numbers we're facing. It all ties down to that. And that's why it's always fascinated me. It's the hardest asset of all. And there's just so little of it. There's just not enough to go around. And no matter which way you look at the way that this thing could explode, whether it's as an inflation hedge or family offices or pensions or treasuries or high net worth individuals or whatever, sovereign states, there's 100 ways that this thing is going to go huge. Now, if they all happen at the same time, then it'll make governments very nervous. Yeah, it's going to be very scary. So
yeah, let's hope so. I'll just take one. I just want one. I don't need to have them all.
I have one theory, and I've heard people talk about this. This whole decoupling thing. People have always asked, why is it when Bitcoin goes down, Ethereum and everything goes down? Traditionally before, why in tandem? They all seem to move down simultaneously. And, I've always speculated, well, maybe, a lot of these traders use bots or whatever. They set their bots to sell if they see certain events happen. But something else that came up is, traditionally when you look at trading pairs, Bitcoin was always had the most pairs with all crypto, right? When these exchanges, especially like Coinbase, Binance came out, USDT wasn't that big yet, and USDC and all these other stable coins didn't even exist. So everything was pegged to Bitcoin. Yeah. So if you look at it that way, of course, if people are trying to liquidate, let's say, or panic sell, then of course it makes sense that they all go in tandem because every single trading pair was based on BTC. But now it's different. Now there's more trading pairs for stable coins than BTC, right? So people panic sell, or even say they buy straight from the stable coins. They don't need to do that with BTC anymore. And I was giving that some thought, and I'm like, maybe that's why you're seeing more decoupling these days, because there's less reliance on that trading pair, which is Bitcoin, right? What do you guys think about that?
Well, what typically happens is you have in Bitcoin, you got the long-term investors that want to hodl long-term for a hedge, but then you have the traders who jump on when it's hot and jump off when the next thing is hot. So, for example, in the smart contract platforms, we saw this happening. We saw Solana get all the attention for the last, say, 6 weeks, and then everybody jumps on Solana. And then once Solana starts to flatten out, they say, oh shit, okay, let's jump on Algorand. Oh, let's jump on Polkadot. Oh, let's go on Elrond. And everything moves around. So a lot of the money, and it doesn't take a lot of movement to have a big movement in float of these cryptos. Like you throw $10 million at one, it can make it go up 30%. And I think that's what's happening. There's still a lot of fickleness, and there's a lot of trading happening, an intense volume of trading across all these different cryptos. So it's all about what's hot next. So when you look at a sector, look at the winner. Once the winner pops, gets out of breath, takes a rest, money goes to the other ones, and then you see weakness in that sector. But it always comes back. What was interesting today was that kind of wick down for some of the names like Solana, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. And I looked at them all together, and I was very interested to see how they rebounded, and especially Ethereum. Ethereum is showing some tremendous strength for its size. Big moves up and down in a very short window of time. So that was fascinating today.
For Ethereum, you're saying?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean,
I don't know what's that.
Yeah, Ethereum. I mean, it could be there for a while, or it could just stay flat. But it's hard to say whichever way. I just don't understand. I mean, the same thing that George was talking about, the coupling. I mean, I understand that what's hot and bounces around, but that's just like one project to one project, or maybe 3 projects. But as everything goes down, it seems like I'll tell you right now, if Bitcoin dropped to 29,000, you better believe everything else will drop.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example on what I mentioned there. Ethereum fell 4% in an hour, and it went up 4.2% in an hour and 10 minutes. So it was just such a crazy V-shaped recovery, and that's what tells me it's just so manipulated, because that's a big move for Ethereum.
Yeah, and buyers are smart; they know it's not. They're going to pick it up because they know where it's going to go.
Well, that's the other thing I see happening is buyers are getting smarter, and they're setting limit orders, and they're sniping, and so it's getting harder for the whales to manipulate, because every time they do, they can't fill their bags on the way down because people have sniped what they wanted to buy. So.
That's it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm going to think about this trading pair thing. I think there's some merit to it, because if you think about it, like if you have something like ETH pegged to Bitcoin as a trading pair, if Bitcoin's underlying value goes down, right, that would pull Ethereum down as a trading pair, right? That's how it works. But yeah, I get the FOMO thing. Right now, what seems like it's happening, like a lot of people, let's say, made a ton with Solana, right? And Solana obviously is a bigger market cap than, say, Avalanche or Algorand, so they could just flip that profit right into a next altcoin and just kind of pump that up or ride a wave and then get into another one. But the main thing is, after they ride that wave, it seems like these altcoins just kind of stayed there because, they gain like 10 or 15, 20%. And it may drop down a little bit, but then they just kind of hold that value. And then it just keeps going up because there's more money coming into the space.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's right. You know what gets me is like with all the FUD around Tether, like why is Tether still 4th and USDC is still down there at 10? I never is there that
Asia.
many pairs out there?
Asia.
Is it only available in Asia or what is it?
Well, the Asians and some of the Europeans are very used to using it for 4 or 5 years now. So it's become your go-to habit forming exercise. What do you say, George?
Yeah, I didn't know that about Asia, but I do know USDT has not really minted a ton of tokens recently. So USDC has been growing. All the other ones like Paxos and all the other ones have been growing a lot more than USDT. USDT seems to be stuck at this 69 billion and it has been there for quite some time. So eventually, I don't know. I mean, maybe there's nothing they could do. I mean, there's a lot of scrutiny whether or not they really have the money. And if you look at their breakdown, I mean, very little of it is in cash. And the last audit they had was like 3 years ago. I mean, but if you were like Bitfinex or iFinex and you control USDT, there's so much scrutiny. Why would you not use the time you have right now to try to fix your balance sheet and try to fix everything, right? Like, why would you just continue waiting? Unless you really you couldn't. Because like USDC, for example, like Coinbase or Circle came out and said previously they had like about 66% in cash. So they said that they're going to change it to 100% in cash now. So there's no uncertainty. There's no worries about it. So why is USDT not doing that right now?
It was, it was the same question I had for the Bitcoin miners in China. Like why they waited to like the last weekend to get booted out, like for contingency plans to get out. And I had a couple of people, who was it? Alejandro de la Torre. He was from, what is the big mining pool operation? But he was in China. He's like, yeah, we just didn't think it was going to actually go all the way down to the wire. And it did. And we had to pick up everything and move. And I was like, in my back of my mind, I'm like, why wouldn't you? I mean, you're you're a $1 billion company, I'm sure. Why wouldn't you do it? But didn't register.
Yeah.
Pooling, that's what it was. Pooling.
So we got 10 minutes left. James, why don't you kick us off? What are you expecting for this week?
Well, September is always that weird bumpy month, so it always sucks. A lot of sideways action, a lot of manipulation, a lot of violent moves. I didn't look at the Bitcoin chart for hours, but it just went down again another 1,000 points nearly. And since we've been on. So it's funny because that's probably why you didn't pick up what I was saying about Ethereum, because the big V-shaped recovery, but then Ethereum tanked again. So it's really good. It's my favorite conditions are really volatile conditions. So what I say to people out there is pick your spots and have a little powder ready, because there could be some nice options here to grab some stuff. And I just continue to see the laggards, at least in the smart contract platform space, to catch up with the likes of Solana. I expect Solana to have a little bump back, back up around the 200 area. And a few other names I like, I'm keeping an eye on. We'll see. Some of the stuff actually just topped out a little bit too fast for my liking. So I sold a few little pieces of some items, which I won't mention, but and swapped them for other things.
You can't sell, James. You got to hold for life.
You can never sell.
Well, when things hit my bull market run price targets, that's time to get out and reposition. So even despite short-term capital gains. So
yeah. I had to, like with Solana, the price predictions that we did. I mean, I thought end of year $200. I think it went to like 211. Like this is
217.
This went too fast, too quick. So little switcheroo, and then in I go. But I hope you guys are both right that this is the volatile month, which I think it is, because I learned my lesson a couple months ago to not buy in too hard for the dips, because there's always like a dip and then a dip and a dip. and another dip. So just keep dry powder and pick up those as they go forward, because who knows what's going to happen in Q4.
Yeah, Q4 is going to be incredible. I think it's going to be very good. Yeah. But what concerns me is some of the names, some of the altcoins have already run so high so fast.
Right.
Like as I mentioned, the top 40 cryptos, the average delta from their all-time high is 42%. And only a small fraction are at their all-time highs. And they're all things like Avalanche, Algorand, Elrond, etc. So that's a very interesting break in the correlation between assets within the crypto world.
It's funny, this all-time high thing, or how much some of these are from it. Like, I always get XRP guys to say, oh, George is bashing XRP, but it had a better month or 3 months than Bitcoin. I'm like, really? You look at XRP, it's still 72% off from its all-time high from 2017. Yeah. When Bitcoin already 2.5x its 2017 high, and all these other coins have made 2, 3, 4, 5x times their previous high. XRP is the only one in the top 10 where it's nowhere close to the top to its previous high. Yet XRP Army, they don't recognize that.
Yeah. But that's all about community right there. Be careful with those coins that should go away.
And I get messages every day. If you guys know, actually, maybe help some people. I had one solution, but a ton of people have been asking me, how can I sell my XRP? How do I get rid of it? So what's your preferred way, Rob, to get rid of your XRP?
Gosh, what did I do? Because I sold, during that SEC thing, it went down to like 21 cents and I sold it all. Where did I sell it?
You swap it on Uniswap for USDC or USDT?
No, it wasn't like that. It was like one of those smaller exchanges that just had enough liquidity. What was it? Gate.io or something like that?
Well, I use KuCoin as one of my exchanges. They're on there.
That's what it was. And I sold it all, but then I bought a majority back because I was like, I just need these losses, and it worked out okay, for now. But no, I won't use Uniswap because you can, but I hate those damn fees. Those fees are crazy.
Oh, yeah. It's $100+ for every trade. It's like no matter anytime it's like $100.
Yeah, if you wait, you can find sometimes a quiet patch and it's like $50, but it's still high. But you want to be moving a good volume to make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
Hey, before we conclude, we got to pick our picks. And I think I won 2 weeks in a row.
George crushed it with Solana.
Like I did say as well, I can't always pick Solana. So
yes,
we got to pick something that's new every week.
Okay, so let's do it. What are you picking?
Okay, me first?
Yeah.
I actually think Polkadot has some room to run, or Kusama. I picked Kusama before and it did well, but I think Polkadot. It's looking good from my perspective. In full disclosure, I own it. I like things like Matic, but that's going to be the last one to really explode. But I think Polkadot is my little pick.
Keep in mind, it's up 16% today.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but okay. when I pick things as well, the idea is not to hope for the 50x or 50% return, but just get some return, but no downside. Because it cuts both ways.
Right.
So, and I also, we don't do financial advice, of course, but if anybody is out there listening to this, it's like, oh, InvestEnswer said buy Polkadot and they run out of it. I got to say, no, you got to be careful, everybody. Everything is risky now, and it has run a lot. But because of the relative runnings of Elrons and Avalanches and Algorands, Polkadot has to pop next. That's my thesis.
That makes sense.
Rob?
It's between Avalanche and this new one. Not that new, but Phantom. I'm trying to do a little bit of a dive into that one because I think that's one of the ones that has gone up, but it's got a lot more room to go. And the things I've seen so far look pretty good. So I'll say Phantom. I don't own any Phantom. I'm just letting everybody know. Not financial advice.
Phantom has run up 300% in the last 30 days. So it has done really, really well.
Oh,
Yeah. And I did dig into it because of requests, and it didn't come out good from my quant models at all. I looked at the top 20 smart contract platforms with crunch numbers every which way, and it's like,
well, Jesus, I'm going to switch my pick now.
It's too late.
I'll
You're
stick
in.
with Phantom.
Hey,
No,
James,
actually,
I hate to call you out. You said that about Avalanche, and since then it's gone up 200%.
Yeah, but I was looking. No. I owned Avalanche, but basically it's true. I sold Avalanche at 48, and I waited 2 days, and then I took that money and put into Solana at 136.1 in my retire on portfolio. But Avalanche is now above my bull run price target. That's why I got nervous. And I also got nervous in Avalanche because they had a huge 22.5% unlock of tokens. Mm-hmm. So whenever that happens, typically when the market's not crazy like now, you see a lot of downward price pressure. But that didn't happen. It defied gravity. But those lockups always make me nervous. And Avalanche is a great name and it's a great technology. It's just the tokenomics are a little bit weak. That's all. I still like it.
You know what? I'm stuck between two. I think Phantom is a good choice. It has been stagnant for a while. I like Harmony because it's very similar to Phantom, and it's starting to onboard a lot of NFT plays. But it is up 18%. So I'm stuck between Harmony, which is at what 2.2 billion, versus Terra. Terra has not moved for quite some time, and I do believe they have their mainnet coming out, and they just onboarded their very first NFT play too. So, you know what? I'm gonna go with Luna. I'm gonna go with Terra. So,
and I think as well. I think we're playing a very dangerous game, just picking things that'll pump for a week, because that's not how people should invest.
It's a game, James.
It is a game. So again, for the viewers out there, we're just playing. And also Polkadot, you guys probably noticed this, but it's number 8 or something right now.
Yeah,
so it's like a big large cap name,
right?
Which that wasn't the case before. So when you pick large cap names, they're not going to pump like a Phantom that you could add 100% in 2 days very easily. So, but I have looked at Phantom, and because it is such a small cap, it could definitely move a lot. So that's a good risque pick, but not something that I would hold for a year or so.
It's not like we're picking like unknown microcap, James. It's like we're picking solid projects, obviously ones that we believe in, not just for the sake of we want to win this week's contest. We're picking ones that we like, and we've done our research. But of course, the audience needs to do their own research, their own due diligence. Don't just copy trade what we're saying, right?
So, yeah, exactly. Just want everybody to get effort there.
That's for eToro, not us.
And I think overall for the market next week, I don't know. I'm just seeing such crazy volatility in some of the numbers, and like I this month of September, we could see Bitcoin bouncing between say 43 and 50 for days. So it'll be some good action to have. I don't think the manipulation is over, and this could be the last chance for the whales to really stock their bags. And there's big whales buying at $46,800, which means there's probably other whales now buying at $1,500 below that at the price right now at 45.2. So,
wow. Plan B's stock to flow also predicted that the floor for September is 43,000.
Yep, he did that. He predicted that actually back in June and again in July, and then he repeated the tweet, I think August 31st. So he's been sticking to those guns, and he's good, that guy.
Yeah, we'll see. I think it's so much volatility. The only thing I expect is for the price to go down so I can buy a little bit and then back up. I really don't really care what's going to happen until like October, November, December. Wake me up when that happens.
It's like the 3 months that you don't want to miss, right? If you miss like the last 3.75 years of the 4-year cycle, you just want to make sure you don't want to miss these last 3 months, right?
Yeah.
It's like this is the worst time to be getting out.
It's not even 3 months. I think there's only like 18 days in the history of Bitcoin that really matter.
Yeah. So
18
Charlie
pump days. So
Charlie, But yeah, I mean, and even if we have like elongated cycles, maybe we wait till January, February, March. I don't care. We've been here for a long time, so I can wait a little bit longer. I'm good.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Do you guys think? What's your theory? I know we all believe there's going to be an elongated cycle, but do you believe there'll be a 85% retracement, like everybody's talking about?
George, what do you think?
You know what? I don't believe so unless we get the same kind of parabolic movement at the very top. Bitcoin went in 2017, it went from 6,000 to 20,000 in 1 month. Okay. And if we see that happen in November 15th and we see Bitcoin go from 75,000 and it pumps up to like 250,000 by December, I'm like, yeah, we'll probably see something like that happen because we just went up too fast. But if it's a gradual up where we're seeing consistent growth, I just don't see it because you guys seen this list before. I mean, just look at the companies and funds that keep adding more and more Bitcoin to their balance sheet. And these guys are not going to be like retail investors and like, oh, it's December. Let's just, sell it all. They continue to hold and add more. So I just don't see that 85% happening unless we get a crazy blow off top, then maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, and especially what's going on with the traditional market and equities. I don't know what's going to happen with all the scared people being scared of variance and jobs reports and everything else. I mean, if it does go up like George, sure, but I don't see it doing that. I see, maybe a retracement of 30, 40% if it goes up and then off we go. I don't know if we'll see another bearish winter, but it could happen again. But I don't see it because there's so many different companies, like George said, buying it up and they're holding it. And just like James said, you got 7% left and that's it. So unless these guys all just dump at one point.
Yeah.
But we never had countries using it as legal tender either.
2021 is just so different. Everything that's happened, I mean, it seems like it's been an eternity, but it's only been 9 months of 2021. And within this 9 months, we had things that just has never happened before. So many things. And it's just so different. So I hate to compare it to 2017, but sometimes you have nothing to reference. So you have to compare it to previous cycles, but it is very different than 2017. We didn't have any of this stuff back then. Everything back then was purely speculation, but now we have true adoption. And it's just very different.
It's a completely different ballgame. Yeah.
Right.
So I think, because Bitcoin is so big now, it's harder to do a parabolic move unless, of course, there are billions flowing in at the same time. We're talking tens of billions hitting it at the same time to drive that up. Or unless supply just evaporates, that would drive it up too. And both are possible. So it's hard to really say, but I think 50% retracement is kind of the max. And I see us going out to March. And then it could just be bumpy for the next year. I've seen some people talk about us going out to 2023. Just the effect of the halving is half. And it's who was it that said, I think it was Willy Woo, he said the last bull market.
In a positive manner.
Exactly. So it's just going to go up from here on in. No more bear market.
Wouldn't that be crazy? That'd be great. Because that winter, those 3 years or however long it was, did really put a damper on things. That's for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, 50% is definitely possible. I mean, we just had 50% from 64 down to 28, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So 50% is definitely possible.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, team. Okay.
All right,
guys. We're over time.
For everyone that's here, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you check out Rob and James' their own channel. Subscribe and make sure you tune in next week for another episode of DCA. So thanks, guys. Until next time. Until next week. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
See you all. Bye.